Each had brown, thatched roofs, something like out of Survivor. Past the buildings was a winding little river, then jungle, more jungle, and, you guessed it, even more jungle. "Keep an eye out for the major holes," the pilot shouted to Dad, who was sitting beside him in the front seat. "Got it," Dad yelled back. The pilot leveled off the plane and started for the pasture. I guess lots of the natives heard us buzz the field, 'cause now they were all running out to watch the show. You can't blame them. They probably enjoy seeing a good fiery crash as much as anyone back home. But instead of being naked and carrying spears, they were all dressed in soccer shorts and T-shirts. Well, that was good news. It meant that my idea of naked people carrying spears was just the product of my overactive imagination, which meant if we survived the crash, I would have a lot of reimagining to do. I stared out the window, watching the field grow closer and closer, until finally, ker-thump, bang, bang, bump, bump, bump. We hit the ground. The pilot fought the steering wheel for all he was worth. "Dead ahead," Dad shouted. "Big hole dead ahead." The pilot gunned the engine, and we took off a few feet before coming back down, this time even harder. Bump, rattle, rattle, bruise gut, rattle, rattle. He slammed on the brakes, or whatever pilots slam on, and we slowed down. It was so bumpy that we still managed to shake out a few of our tooth fillings along the way. Finally, he turned the plane around, and we approached the crowd of people racing toward us. In the lead, riding a motorcycle, was a guy with a build like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Sitting behind him was a kid my age, about 12 and pushing 13. "That's Mr. Rodriguez," Dad pointed, "and his son Jamie." "That's the missionary?" I yelled. Dad nodded. "But he's so non-geeky?" Dad asked. "Well, yeah." The pilot shut down the engines, and the people gathered around the plane as we opened the door. The outside air hit us like a hot, wet blanket. "It's the humidity," Dad laughed as he saw the expression on my face. He stepped out on the wing and called back, "You'll get used to it." He climbed down to meet Mr. Rodriguez. The two men threw their arms around each other like they were in a bear hug competition. When they'd finished breaking each other's ribs, Dad turned to make the introductions. "Paulo, this is my son Wally. Wally, my good friend Paulo Rodriguez." We shook hands. I don't want to say that the guy's grip was strong. I just hoped that in a couple of weeks I'd be able to use my fingers again. Mr. Rodriguez turned to the kid next to him. "And this is my son, Jamie." The kid and I stood for a moment checking each other out. Since Jamie had spent his whole life in the jungle, and since I was more intelligent and more civilized of the two, I knew it would be up to me to break the ice. "Me, Wally," I said with a big forced grin. "You, Jamie." Jamie threw a concerned look up to his dad. Mr. Rodriguez gave an encouraging smile and nodded. But it was obvious I wasn't getting through to the poor kid. I pushed up my glasses and tried again. "Me, Wally," I said, thumping my chest. "Wally, very happy to meet Jamie." The boy scrunched up his face in confusion, and then shrugged. Finally he motioned to old Betsy, which was slung over my shoulder. "How fast is your processor?" he asked. "Do you have an external drive, and how many terabytes is it?" The walk down the dirt road to Jamie's house was like a giant parade, with us as the main attraction. But instead of fancy horses and marching bands, we had squealing pigs and clucking chickens. Everybody clamored around us. Little kids fought to carry our baggage, and older ones checked out my clothes to see what was in fashion. I didn't have the heart to tell them I was a dorkoid, which meant I was at least 2 years out of style in everything, including life. But I wasn't worried. I figured they'd find out soon enough. I was right. It had taken Jamie only 7.8 seconds to realize he was cooler than me. Oh, no biggie for him, but it was for me. It meant I was not only the North American champion in dorkiness, but I was probably the South American champion as well. How exciting! How thrilling! How embarrassing.